Hey, we're back at the topic in today with something I have yet to dabble into, which are Pokemon theories. Now, this theory in particular, I have yet to see anyone else speak up for it. Maybe the dust hasn't settled yet. I'm not sure. But the theory I will be trying to explain here is how the events in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon post-game, the Rainbow Rocket arc, will have an effect on the next main series Pokemon game for the Switch. It's basically guaranteed to be on the Switch, and we probably won't be seeing it until early 2019. But timing is not a theory, but it does play a role in such things. But first, I want to explain how the existence of the timeline, dimensions, and wormholes can also play a role in this theory. We'll begin with the timeline. Of course, if you want a better description of the Pokemon timeline, go ahead and check out CandyEvie's video. It is in the description below, so I hope you enjoyed that, because she goes far more in depth into this topic, as I'm not talking about it specifically in this video. While the timeline itself isn't canon per se, there seems to be a common line that the main series tends to cross as we progress through the generations. Red and Blue, Ruby and Sapphire, and both their remakes play during the same point in time, and the same can be said about the Generation 2 and 4 games taking place 3 years later. Pokemon Black and White are next in line, followed up by Black and White 2, which occur a few years after that. The odd part is, Pokemon X and Y are taking place at the same time as Pokemon Black 2 and White 2. But the furthest games we have in the timeline are both Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon, as they are basically the same game. Of course, we can even split this up into the non-Mega and Mega timeline, as the look of Team Magma and Aqua's leaders, Archie and Maxie, changed drastically between Ruby and Sapphire and their remakes. But those designs weren't saved when they included the duo in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon when they were part of Team Rainbow Rocket. They didn't even have their Mega Camerupt and Sharpedo used in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which is telling they came from Ruby and Sapphire. In fact, they defaulted back to their previous designs, and that's where I want to hit on my next point. See, every admin of Team Rainbow Rocket came from dimensions where they were victorious in their dastardly plan. This either means they defeated the main character just simply did not exist, or they never interfered. But this doesn't match the timeline we have set out for us. None of that ever happened during the main timeline or the Mega timeline. And you have to imagine if one of the admins was victorious, the others perished. Loss of water, loss of land, deleting the world, destroying the world. That all cannot happen simultaneously. So that means there's a third, fourth, or even a fifth timeline or dimension that we are all unaware of. But bringing back the topic of Archie and Maxie, if these two had one design made out for them in Ruby and Sapphire, were changed drastically in Oros, and then defaulted back to the original designs in Ultra Sun and Moon, that is a clear teller on the theory of multiple Pokemon dimensions. Either that or they are trying to retcon out the Mega Pokemon concepts out of the game. But I feel like with the new games on the Switch, we will be entering a brand new dimension. But why do I think such a thing? This is where the theory kicks into full gear. See, the Rainbow Rocket arc has Giovanni bringing all of the admins from the evil teams from dimensions where they completed their missions. However, it's unexplained on how that was even possible until the end. How was Giovanni able to do such a thing? How was he able to be so powerful and get to that point? But not powerful enough, because once you defeat Giovanni, who has a Mega Mewtwo X or Y depending on which version you are playing, I should also add, we get the resolution of the post-game plot. Lusamine thanks you, Lily talks to you about some stuff. I know, totally generic way of explaining it, but you get the idea. But then it pans to Giovanni, who is outside standing on an upper part of the Aether Paradise. After commending the trainer on their talent, something that this Giovanni has yet to see until the events of this arc, he then states, "Now, what world shall I unleash my evil schemes upon?" Before disappearing with an evil grin into what is assumed to be a dimensional rift. It is unsure if it was caused by his own doing or Colress. But Colress is nowhere to be found as the camera zooms out. But I want to focus in on what he says. He says, "What new world?" But why does a section of his statement stick out to me, and maybe a few others? It is the cliffhanger set in place by Game Freak. They don't shy away from putting something small that might go undiscovered into a game before revealing it in full actuality. The perfect example is in Generation 1, where a trainer outside the southern exit of Rock Tunnel exclaims, "The Pokemon are so chunky. There should be a pink one with a floral pattern." And 14 years later, Muna was revealed to be one of the new Pokemon introduced in the Generation 5 pair of games, Pokemon Black and White. But then again, what could this potential foreshadowing entail? Giovanni specifically mentions a new world. What could this mean exactly? It is unsure at this point, and we'll touch on that next. But first, I want to cover more of Giovanni's role. Where did this Giovanni come from? It's definitely not from Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, or their remakes, as Mega Pokemon were not introduced until Generation 6. And if you remember, Giovanni used a Mega Mewtwo against you in battle. Keep in mind that Archie and Maxie did not have access to their Mega Pokemon, but Lysandre still had his Mega Gyarados. So this Giovanni is for sure from the Mega timeline, unlike Archie and Maxie. But the answer still distances away from us. How did he get the technology to jump from dimensions? Maybe his Mega Mewtwo had some answer to it. Mewtwo is only obtainable in these locations. In Kanto in the Cerulean Cave, and Kalos in the Unknown Dungeon. Now possibly Giovanni could have gained the technology to jump over to Kalos to procure the items needed to Mega Evolve Pokemon, and then arrived in Alola. Or he could have traveled by plane, who knows. But those are the most likely situations. It is also known that he was victorious in his own land of Kanto, so once again, with the questions, where is Giovanni going when he says, "What new world shall I unleash my evil schemes upon?" And this brings us to our own resolution. I believe that Giovanni's disappearance into a dimensional rift with an evil grin is foreshadowing the events of Pokemon Switch. He is looking for a new world, a world that is not conquered yet. This Giovanni is unlike any other Giovanni we have seen. He is not content in conquering his own world, but multiple worlds. The final question is, where is he going? Where is this Pokemon Switch game going to take place? Well, if we look back at any of the previous regions, we can rule out Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, and Alola. He has no connection with any of them, other than Alola, but he was defeated there. And I doubt he would want to interfere with the existing evil teams. That, and I don't think he wants to deal with Sinnoh when we're bound to get the Diamond and Pearl remakes within the next 5 years. Now, a new version of Kanto would be the first thought. We already have Kanto in the originals and the remakes of Red and Blue and Fire Red and Leaf Green, but what if we had a sequel to Pokemon Gold and Silver? Or if you want to think of it this way, Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Giovanni is going to a new world. It would be familiar grounds as he failed to win in Alola, as he wants to start with something he knows he can deal with. It would be an interesting way to start off Generation 8, as we could also head to Johto after defeating the Indigo Plateau Pokemon League. The other option is a brand new generation with brand new Pokemon. This is also another likely option in this theory. Never have we started a generation without a new region with new Pokemon. The only key here is he's going to be blind, and we'll have to build a plan right after he arrives. But that's not really a problem. It's Giovanni. But what does this tell us about the new games? Is it based in Kanto years after the events of Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver? I didn't cover it specifically because it was less likely, but it could be based in Kalos instead? Probably not. Could it land in a brand new world with all new features? It's pretty much a toss-up at this point, a dice roll. Any option seems viable, but what do I know? I'm just some dumb guy theorizing things about a Pokemon game that won't hit the shelves until early 2019 at the earliest. So in that case, I'll ask you, do you think Giovanni will take any role in the Pokemon Switch games? If so, how do you think he will affect it? Where are these games taking place in? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the theorizing, let me know by beating up my like button below, or the dislike button. And if you want, the subscribe button, as theories are definitely things that I want to dabble more in the future. But other than that, I do want to thank you for watching, and hope to catch you back at the top later on, because that's how we do what?